Hello, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. If you are yet to see how we drafted this pattern, go to my channel, you will find the video there. So I went ahead to cut out the patterns on my fabric, and note that I've cut the center front line on fold, but the rest of the pieces I did cut out 2 pieces each. 2 pieces of the main fabric and 2 pieces of the lining, sorry. So that makes them 4 pieces, because I have two for the main fabric and 2 pieces for the lining. I reduced the lining's length by 1 inch, so the linings are shorter by 1 inch. I also went ahead to cut out my cup. I did cut out 2 pieces. Okay, now we are going to begin with our front piece. You've seen I've added allowances on all the pieces. I know you saw that. Now I'm going to grab my center front piece like this. I'll just lay it like this, and then I'm going to stitch at the sides of this, the way you see me doing here. That's how I'm going to stitch. So I'm just going to pin down for you guys to get a clear view of how I'm going to be stitching this down. And I'll be doing the same thing that I'm doing on this fabric. I'll be doing the same thing on my lining. After stitching the main piece and the lining, this is how it is looking. Now this is how our cap is looking. So I'm just going to put away this pattern that we slashed and spread earlier. So I cut out 2 pieces, as I had told you. Now what you want to do is to fold the top part of these pieces. Okay, each piece by itself, you're going to fold the top piece so that it can give you a gather effect after we put in our string. It will. So I'm just going to pin down this for you guys to see clearly. So I'm going to stitch all through this top part on both the pieces, making sure there is enough space for the string to pass through. So after stitching the top part of both the pieces, this is how it is looking. I also went ahead to stitch a gathering stitch on the bottom part of the top. You folded the top part, right? Now on the lower part, you're going to stitch a gather stitch, a loose stitch that you can pull to form gathers. Now this is how the pieces are looking after pulling the gathering stitch just to form the gathers. So you'll grab your front piece, and from the center front line you're going to stitch your piece, just the part that you gathered. You're going to stitch it from the center front line going up to the other side of the top, making sure that you know where your armhole was on this cap that we just gathered. So make sure your armhole is not facing the center front line, it's facing out. So I'm just pinning this down so that you can see what I'm talking about. Then I'll go ahead and stitch down where I just pinned. So this is how it is looking. So after stitching, now I'll just go ahead and do the same thing to the other side of the bust. Now neaten out these pieces on the center front line just to have a neat finishing, because this place is kind of open, so it's where the straps will be passing, and so this part just needs to be neatened. Go ahead and neaten it. After neatening, I'm just inserting in my loops from the center front line. So far so good. This is how the center front piece is looking. You can see the gathers have already formed on the top part. I'm now going to add in my lining piece. So what you do, with the right parts facing, the right parts of the fabric and the lining facing, you're going to stitch the down part of the, you're going to stitch this down part, okay, where I'm pinning, where you see me pinning. Done, and this is how it is looking. Okay, so you're going to tuck in this our caps. Okay, you remember the caps, and this with the, so you're going to put the center front line of the lining piece on the center front line of the main fabric. Okay, then you're just going to pin this all through the way you see me pinning, and we're going to stitch that down. Okay, now this is what we have. So I'm just basically going to take this out from the side that is open. So I'm just going to grab all this and take it out. So this is our back pattern. I've cut out the pieces also, and you can see I've gone ahead to add my seam allowance. So I'll just take out my patterns and we're going to work on the main fabric and the lining. So for each piece here, I'll be stitching the side back to the center back. The space you see in the middle is the center back where we'll be attaching our zipper. So I'm just going to place them like this, and I'll show you how they look after stitching. So you're going to repeat the same thing that you did to the main fabric. You're going to repeat this to your lining pieces. Just stitch the center back to the side back. This is what we have after stitching down the side back to the center back. This is how your pieces should be looking by now. Now with the right side facing, place your lining piece on the main fabric and stitch down, just the down part of this, stitch down, then we'll be back after. That is done. So this is how the pieces are looking. So what you're going to do, you're going to pull this lining piece. Okay, you're going to pull it up like this, just pull it up, then you're going to stitch the top part of this top. And also remember to stitch the center back and the side of this top, leaving the armhole open because we will be using this armhole to turn it out to the right side. Now you see the spaces that I've left. This is what I was talking about. So we are going to be pulling this out through this armhole. You are then going to place the right piece on top of the back piece. Then I'll be confirming again my bust measurement, my under bust measurement, and my waist circumference. Then I'll just be marking these points before joining my piece. I've gone ahead to stitch my sides, and this is what I have. So I'm just going to flip it to the right side to show you clearly what I have here. I'm also going ahead to add in my zipper. Now moving on to the sleeve, I just cut out a rectangular piece of fabric which is 34 inches long, and the wideness of this fabric is 14, and it is on fold. Okay, it's 14, so if you open it up it becomes 28. Okay, 28. Now I have two pieces here that are folded by 2 because obviously I'm going to use two sleeves. Okay, now they are 14 inches wide on fold and 34 inches long. From the top of my fabrics that I'm going to use for the sleeve, I'm marking down 6 inches. Okay, So I'm marking down 6 inches. If you're long, you can mark 7. If you are a taller person, then I'll just be joining this with a straight line. Now from the top part that is folded, from the other side that is folded, you're just going to draw in a curve the way you see me doing. Just form in a curve like this. You don't necessarily need a pattern to do this. So with your free hand, just go in and draw in your curve like this. Now this is how my giant sleeve is looking. It's a very big sleeve. Okay, so I'll just be opening it up like this, and at the lower edge, at the lower part of the sleeve, I'm just going to fold it in. I'm going to fold both the sleeves in like this with about half an inch. So I'm just going to fold it. And while doing that, I'll come to the top part of my sleeve and I'll fold it in, leaving a space, about half an inch space, where I'll pass my elastic through to form gathers in the top part of the sleeve. Now open up your sleeve like this, and from the bottom part I'm going to go up by 6 inches. Okay, this is where I'll create the channels where my elastic will pass through. See, you saw that the sleeve has something like gathers. Yes, then from the top part I'm going down by 13 inches. I'll now go ahead to my sewing machine and add in the channels with some pieces of fabric, these pieces of fabric. So I'll be placing them like this, and I'll stitch all through to form I'll stitch leaving a space in between where my elastic will pass. I'm sure you are able to see that I've stitched from the wrong side of the fabric. Now these are the elastics that I'll be passing through. So from the down part, I'll pass through this elastic, which is 6 inches long, while from the channel that I created 13 inches down, I'm going to insert an elastic that's 10 inches long. Okay, this part, that's why I'll be inserting this elastic. Whereas on the very top of the sleeve, I'll be putting in my elastic that is 12 inches long, this part. Okay, using the safety pin, I went ahead to insert in my elastics, and I just secured that down with pins. Remember to secure them down, because if you don't secure them, they'll run loose. Okay, so this is how the sleeve is looking. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to place them right sides facing, then I'll stitch it down. The last thing to do is to attach the sleeves to the main part of the top, and that is it, guys. That is done. Bye for now.